The story of 3 passengers and 8 loaves of bread. Once upon a time, in a faraway desert land, 3 travelers found themselves journeying together across a vast, arid wilderness. They had come from different lands, strangers to one another, brought together by fate on the dusty road that led through scorching heat and endless sand dunes. Though they had little in common, they shared one pressing need: survival. The first passenger, Hassan, was a merchant from the east. His caravan had been overtaken by a sandstorm, leaving him separated from his goods and his fellow traders. He carried a small bag of supplies, mostly dried dates, and a flask of water. His weathered face and long, sun-bleached robes revealed a man well accustomed to desert life, though even his resilience was tested by the relentless heat. The second, Karim, was a young scholar from the north, on a pilgrimage to a distant city renowned for its great libraries. His head was full of knowledge and dreams, but his stomach had long been empty. He carried with him a single scroll and a small leather-bound journal, tools of his trade, but no food or water. His thin frame and hollow eyes spoke of the many days he had spent walking, hoping to find shelter before it was too late. The third, Amal, was a woman from the west. She had fled her homeland, seeking refuge from a war that had torn her country apart. Her journey had been long and treacherous, but she was determined to reach a distant city where she had heard peace still existed. Amal carried with her a single bundle of belongings, and within it, a precious treasure, 8 loaves of bread, baked the day before she had left her village. The bread was her lifeline, her only source of sustenance. The 3 travelers met at a lone oasis, a rare refuge of shade and water in the barren land. After exchanging stories of their hardships and hopes, they agreed to continue the journey together, for the road ahead was still long and perilous. Yet, as the sun began to set, the pressing issue of food became unavoidable. Hassan had his dates, Karim had nothing, and Amal had her 8 loaves of bread. Though the bread was hers, she knew that if she ate it all, the others would grow weak, and their chance of survival would diminish. As the fire they built crackled under the stars, Amal proposed a plan. "Let us share the bread," she said, her voice steady though her heart was heavy. "It may not be enough to fully satisfy us, but it will keep us alive." Hassan and Karim agreed. Amal carefully divided the loaves, giving each of them 2 loaves, keeping 2 for herself. They ate in silence, each chewing slowly, making every crumb last as long as possible. As the night wore on and the fire's glow dimmed, Hassan and Karim lay down to sleep, grateful for the bread but also wondering if it would be enough to see them through the next day. Amal, on the other hand, stayed awake, her mind racing with thoughts of fairness and survival. She knew that the 8 loaves were a blessing, but she also knew that they wouldn't last long. The desert would soon test them all. The next morning, as the sun rose over the dunes, Hassan proposed an idea. "Amal, you are the one who has provided us with this bread. It is only right that we repay you in some way." Karim nodded in agreement, though he had little to offer but his knowledge and his words. Amal shook her head. "You owe me nothing. In this desert, we are equals. The bread was given to me, but I could not, in good conscience, eat while you starved." But Hassan persisted. "There is a way we can make this fair. We can each offer something of ourselves, a skill or knowledge, in exchange for the bread. It is only right." Karim, thoughtful as ever, spoke up. "We could share more than just the bread. We could share stories, wisdom, and help each other in ways that go beyond food." The 3 agreed to this new arrangement, and as they continued their journey, they began to barter not just bread, but ideas, skills, and strength. Hassan, the merchant, shared his knowledge of trade routes and survival in the desert. He taught Amal and Karim how to find water in the driest of places and how to navigate by the stars. Karim, the scholar, offered stories and lessons from his studies, speaking of ancient wisdom, lost cities, and philosophies that kept their minds sharp and distracted them from hunger. Amal, though not as learned as Karim nor as experienced in trade as Hassan, had her own contributions. She was strong and resourceful, able to find shade where others saw only scorching heat, and her calm demeanor kept the group united. Days passed, and the bread ran out. But by then, something far more valuable had been shared between them: trust, companionship, and a bond forged by necessity and strengthened by mutual respect. One evening, as they sat under the stars after yet another long day of travel, Karim smiled and said, "The bread may be gone, but in its place, we have found something much greater." Hassan nodded. "Indeed. We have survived, not because of the bread alone, but because we shared what we had, both in our bellies and in our minds." Amal looked out over the dunes, her heart lightened. "It is true. The bread was a gift, but it was our unity that saw us through." And so, the three travelers continued their journey, no longer just passengers on the same road, but friends who had learned the value of sharing not just what they had, but who they were. In the end, they reached their destination: Hassan to find his lost caravan, Karim to the great library, and Amal to the peaceful city she sought. But the memory of their journey together, and the lesson of the 8 loaves of bread, stayed with them forever.